All right, so I literally went and clicked on the very next thing that I saw. Well, it was an older video from him. Same guy that I last video, right? Same guy. But I literally right after making that video clicked on the Z-Burst defense video, and I feel like I've already leveled up and I haven't even played any matches yet. Because this dude just explained to me how to defend against Z-Burst Dash, and it makes so much sense, and it might have helped me for other things too. So we're gonna watch this video in its entirety, right? And I'm gonna, I guess talk about it and my experience with this stuff because, dude, I use Z-Burst Dash literally all the time, because it's so strong. It's like if it's working, do it, right? If it's working, you might as well do it. So if you heard that was me. And if people don't do anything about it, then that's not my fault, right? So but when somebody attacks me with Z-Burst Dash, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I know sometimes people are able to block it when I do it, and sometimes they're not. And I was wondering why, and he explained it. So let's just get into this video real quick so you can see exactly why I'm sitting here like I can't believe I didn't think about that before. So let's get into this video real quick. Oh my god.
About Z-Burst Dash defense. This is one of the most annoying things in the game if you don't know how to deal with it, and it is 1000% a gimmick. And if you don't know how to deal with this, two things are going to happen. The first thing is you're going to take 25,000 damage just like that you don't deserve to take, and number two is you're never going to make it into the B ranks, and you're especially never going to make it into the A ranks in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero ranked. So whether you're trying to climb the ranks or you're simply tired of getting pranked out of existence by your friends, I've got all the sauce you're going to need to be able to combat against this gimmick.
He definitely ain't lying. He definitely got all the sauce.
One thing that you do not want to do if you think someone's going to use a Z-Burst Dash to get behind you is try and block it before it happens. If you hold block before they get to you, you will not turn around and you're taking back shots all day. The same.
Dude, that is probably easier than sidestepping. I usually try to sidestep the Z-Burst Dash because that's what Afro Sentry was doing, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I know sidestepping is a valid thing to do. I don't even think that it's not. It might even be more valid to sidestep it than to do a block or a perception at the correct time. But knowing that I just have to block after they get there and my character will turn around explains so much. Because I'm like, why don't these characters ever turn around, right? So if you time it so that when they get near you, then you block, your character turns around, but you don't want to be holding block while you're standing there waiting for them to do the dash. Like, this game is definitely about a lot about timing. Like, there's a lot of timing things. Like, super counter is timing. Blocking a Z-Burst Dash, timing. Z counter, timing. Like, all these things are very timing oriented. So that's in the first 45 seconds. I'm sitting there like, oh my god. I think I watched maybe like a minute and something in the video.
Same thing goes for perception. So what you have to do is time your block or perception once they are in your step-in barrier, so you turn.
No.
I also want to point out that if you try and turn around with an attack, you will always get hit first.
That is also helpful because I'm never sure if I'm going to hit them when I do Z-Burst Dash. I usually do hit them first, but like I'm always like, I don't know if I'm going to get the hit because there's a lot going on when you get there. It's like a lot of bursts and like effects happening. So I get there and I just hit the button. I'm just like, okay, I got the hit. Sometimes I get there and they block. So it's like, all right, well, sometimes I go in there and then maybe I'll go for a grab, but sometimes they'll swing, right? They'll swing and I'm just like, okay. So it's probably because people don't know that we're just doing anything. We're doing the thing that we think is going to work, right? So now that I know that works, I can Z-Burst Dash in on somebody and just go for the hit, right? So that will beat them swinging. It will beat them going for a grab, and it will probably lose to Vanish, maybe. I think it might lose to Vanish. So I just have to be ready to Vanish. Z-Burst dash in, hit the button, and be ready to if they show that they're going to vanish my Z-Burst dash, right? So, oh, okay, all right. So let's keep going.
So don't try and attack. And the same thing will also happen with a grab. If you try and turn around on reaction with a grab and they grab you at the same time, you're going to lose. If they try and go for a grab and they happen to mess up by a couple of frames, you might get a grab clash, but even then that's extremely risky because more often than not, if it's a good player, they're not going to make the mistake and you're just going to get grabbed. So right off the bat, it looks like going for perception or going for a grab is going to be your best bet. But I also want to point out that as things get deeper and deeper, there's going to be more and more counterplay and mind games and mix-ups. So you got to be careful about that, but thankfully for you guys, we're going to cover all that too. So very quickly, I want to go over the concept of making a read and also getting conditioned or conditioning your opponent.
Okay.
For you that don't know what any of that means,
I know what that means, and I'm pretty sure I do it already, but I would love more ways to condition my opponent and to make sure I'm not getting conditioned by my opponent. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I like try to condition them into blocking or doing perceptions so that I can grab them. That's like probably the one thing that I do that seems pretty good. All right.
it doesn't really matter because I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. So essentially making a read is to have an educated guess as to what your opponent is going to try and do when they approach, and conditioning is the read. My read is to instantly go for a special instead of blocking. It's because every single time that I've blocked, my opponent has gone for a grab. So in this situation, my opponent has conditioned me to counter the grab because that's all he's been doing. So if I make a read on that grab, that means I can go for the special and try and punish his grab as it's coming out. Something that's super important that I want to point out as well is that a read is not on reaction. A read is basically like playing rock, paper, scissors. You're not able to change your mind halfway through throwing out what you chose for rock, paper, scissors. So if I think he's going to go for rock, I'm going to go for paper, and I'm going to just go ahead and do it and hope based on probability of what he's done in the past that I happen to be right. And since the situation happens so quickly, we're committing fully to our options for the best. This video isn't really all about reads, but more so how to defend.
And it's like you just gotta go for it because you don't know if you're like, it's all based on what they're doing in the past. But if somebody is random, like if you're playing against a player who is, there's sometimes you'll play people who are just like not conditionable, right? Maybe not in C or higher, because like most of the people understand what's going on for the most part, and they know that, and they're paying attention. Like everything is going really fast, but I think a lot of people pay attention in at least like C3 or C4, maybe C3 and forward. Like a lot of people are paying more attention to what's going on, so it's easier to make a read and think that they're going to do something and try to take advantage of that. Whereas like if you're playing against somebody that has no idea, like in the lower ranks when we were like, when, you know, not knowing how the game works, not knowing defensive options, or not knowing what you can do in certain situations, then they don't know what they can do. They don't know the answer. They don't know anything that they can do. So they do something random, and you think that, okay, well, based on what they did last time, that seemed like a pretty good way to beat what I did. So they're probably going to do that again if I put them in the same situation. And then they do something that counters what you were going to do, but they didn't even, like, they just didn't even know. Like it would have just been like, that would have been a bad idea to do in this situation, but you switched up and they just did something and it just beat you, right? It was just like, all right, well, I guess. And then they don't even give any sign that they know that was a good thing to do, like based on what happened. Like they don't. It's just like, sometimes it's frustrating. But like if you know all these different situations and you've been in a bunch of different situations before, and you can make these situations happen so that you can take advantage of them. Like if your opponent doesn't understand what's happening to them, then you might just lose or you might not lose completely, but like you might lose the situation and lose a bunch of the different situations that you're setting up because they're just above the level of what that person is used to. So like you have to kind of dumb down your situations and just bring it to something more simple so that they understand, so that you can condition them into doing something that they know about. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing about conditioning. Make sure you're conditioning your opponents with things that they understand rather than trying to condition them with things that they know nothing about, because then they won't be able to be conditioned into doing something. Hopefully that's not too confusing and people understand what I'm saying here.
Against Zebra's dash, but just be careful of the fact that these things can happen based on how you have been playing. One of the best options I found to counter a Zebra's dash is to, on reaction, go for a step in. Stepping in is to simply press your dash button, which on PS5 is going to be your X button. The reason why stepping in is so powerful is because it actually has iframes. You cannot be hit during this animation. This dash is also auto tracking, and you don't—
He's a genius. He's a genius. I love to see stuff like this. I love to see answers to things like this, because you know that the people in C rank have no idea. I didn't know. I had no idea. I wouldn't have even thought of that. And then when it happens, like if this happens in game without somebody explaining to you what happened, then you're just like, what the fuck? Like if you understood that step in has iframes, when somebody does it to you maybe once or twice, you'll be like, oh, that was a good idea. But if you had no idea that the move had iframes, or you never try to use its iframes, because I was like, why would I ever try to do dash in? Because in the tutorial they teach you how to do step in with like the step in sway thing, where you do step in and then you hit B to sway. And I'm like, when would I ever use that? Right? Like when would I ever use that? But you can do that, I guess, maybe as a safer way to do against Zebra's dash. Maybe you do step in sway to see if they're gonna swing, like maybe for the second layer, like you step in sway to see if they're gonna swing, because if they did it before and they swung at you last time, maybe like you messed up and you didn't want to get hit. Make sure you don't want to get hit. I don't know, but that, like, there's just things that are turning in my head now about like different options that you have in this game, like things that I just wouldn't have thought about without like watching this dude's videos. I've watched 3 of this guy's videos on this game so far, and it's opening my eyes.
Your opponent. Just simply push your dash button and it'll work every single time. You can also combo it into other things as well. During the animation, you can buffer perception, blocking, or if you want to, you can even use your key button, which on PS5 is triangle, and you can actually charge an attack which also has armor. So if you dash in and they're holding perception, you could just block or dash away and reset. Another thing I want to point out, and I'm not sure what the reasoning behind this is, but if you have 0 skill stocks and you try and do a step in into perception, for some reason it won't work. I wanted to show you guys here with no cuts in the video that you can see here I have 1 skill stock and now it's going to work. The first time it didn't work, but thankfully 99% of—
Wait, let me go back. Let me go back.
Skill stocks, and you try and do a step in, I'm not in, and they're holding perception, you could just block or dash away and reset. Another thing I want to point out, and I'm not sure what the reasoning behind this is, but if you have 0 skill stocks and you try and do a step in into perception, for some reason it won't work. I wanted to show you guys here with no cuts in the video that you can see here I have 1 skill stock and now it's going to work. The first time it didn't work, but thankfully 99% of the time you're going to probably have at least 1 skill stock to save you, and honestly in that situation it's 1000% worth it. But even still, if you happen to have no skill stocks, you know for a fact that you can step in and then block and you'll be totally fine. The only difference is that you don't get an automatic punish, and there's a potential that the opponent's not going to learn and they're just going to keep doing it over and over again. So you want to make sure that you can punish them when you actually get the chance. Another thing I wanted to mention as well too is that you don't have the ability to do a revenge counter or a Z counter on reaction. The reason for this is because these counters don't turn you around automatically, and they also can't be performed when you're being hit in the back. I've heard that you can actually do it with a Z counter, but brother, I've never got it to work. And honestly, there's a lot of other things that you can do that are safer and better, but I thought it'd be important to at least point this out. But I also figured out some counterplay if you don't have a skill stock that can also still work very well and give you a punish if you happen to be a good masher. If you do a Z-burst dash or a dragon dash on reaction, you will get a automatic quick time event every single time. So
I do this, but not because I know I'm gonna get the counter. Like I do it because in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna Z-burst dash when they dash so that when they try to get behind me, I'll get behind them afterwards, right? That's how my brain was thinking about it. And I'm like, I don't know if it works that way, but I try it sometimes. Sometimes I come out on top. Sometimes it just, I guess, confuses the both of us. Somebody, it's a 50-50, whoever comes out on top, right? But knowing, because maybe I do it a wrong time or something like that. But no, this has happened before. But I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. Another thing with Z-burst dash is like I'll Z-burst dash at somebody, and if I initiate Z-burst dash and somebody does a super, like that's like a beam super or something like that, where they stay in place, I'm usually like, oh, I'm behind them. I'm definitely behind them. Because as soon as you leave, it's like the beam comes and you just zip around and zip behind them. But maybe you can do that on reaction to a super from far away. I'm not sure.
So if you know that you have a godly mash, or you even have key to boost your mash and you can probably win every single time, then you can just do this and you'll be absolutely chilling. Because at the very least, what's going to happen is that your opponent is going to get scared to Z-burst dash in over and over if they keep on losing. This is a huge tip that I would not overlook. Yes, you might not get that much damage, but at least you're living. Because honestly, I'd way rather lose a quick time event than have this happen and lose 2.5 bars because I didn't know what to do. So to quickly recap on everything you just learned so you can walk away and feel like you actually know what to do. If you're fighting someone who Z-burst dash behind you and then mashes on you, step in with your dash button and then go for perception. If they are super grab happy, make sure you have key and then start punishing it with specials. If you don't want to leave it up to chance and you know you have a godly mash, then just Z-burst dash back at them and try and win the quick time event. If you're gonna block or use perception, make sure you don't hold it in advance, otherwise you're taking back shots all day. Time your block or perception the moment that the camera does that jarring shift. As long as you don't panic, you'll be completely fine. And finally, pay attention to mix-ups and conditioning. Make sure you have a reason to do what you're doing. For those of you that didn't know, I'm someone who's been coaching fighting games and shooting games for
all right, I get it. I understand. I understand that you've been a coach of fighting games and shooting games for the last 5 years. I have learned that. Okay, no, that was a really good video though, and I definitely learned a lot within the last like 3 videos that I watched. I didn't do a reaction to the first video I watched because it just was like I was just looking for that and I needed it. I think the first video I watched of his was, let me see, it was perfect super counter, where he was just talking about how you're supposed to super counter, because I was trying to learn that. So he has some more videos here, better defense, special moves, intro to God movement. He has a bunch of stuff here for Sparking Zero. So definitely go to his YouTube channel and like watch his stuff if you're really looking for some more information about how to play the game. This dude's videos so far have been super solid, and I'll definitely be watching the rest of his stuff. Better defense, special moves. Like, I'm definitely gonna watch the rest of this stuff, man. And then watch him play some matches in ranked and see how he plays. It looks like he might play my character also, which is Vegito. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be spending some time on his page. So if you like the video, please like it, subscribe to me for more of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero stuff. Maybe I'll start streaming the game during the week if I am not dead tired and can think when I get home from work. I haven't really been streaming. I was supposed to stream like last week and this weekend, but I just didn't. I was super tired all week, and then this weekend I was just in Sparking Zero trying to learn this game. So maybe I'll stream the game and stream my ranked adventures in this game, and then maybe do some of the other stuff as like a side thing, just to get through the game and have some like palate cleansing for not having to play ranked the entire time on stream. So do tune in to the Twitch, the TikTok. I stream on both at the same time. Yeah. Guess I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.